Now, this will be the part 4 of the series from 150 words, keywords for polity. Now, judicial supremacy, reaffirms the idea that judiciary remains the final and authoritative interpreter of constitution, and all other organs of the government are bound not only to respect judges' decisions in particular cases, but also in formulating future public policies and follow the general principles judges have laid down. Example US. Constitutional supremacy, it means that constitution is the source of authority to all organs of the state and they cannot exercise any power which is not conferred upon them by the constitution. Example India. Now, parliamentary sovereignty, according to A.V. Dicey, parliamentary sovereignty is the parliament's right to make or unmake any law, while no person or body has the authority to override or set aside the legislation of the parliament. In short, it means true is what the parliament does and that no authority on earth can undo. Cabinet is the highest decision making body in the parliamentary form of government. Its members are called cabinet ministers, who are head of the important ministries of the central government like home, defense, finance, external affairs, and so forth. It is a smaller body consisting of 15 to 20 ministers. It exercises in practice the power of council of ministers. Now, distribution of power, it refers to the allotment of different powers and functions to different tiers of government in the federal state, center, state, and local. In their respective dominion, they are allowed to function in an autonomous manner. Now, federation is a union of states which the supremacy of the common government is recognized, and regional governments are generally accorded equal status compared to federal governments. Now, there are two types of federations: coming together federations, that is, independent states joined together on their own to form a larger state federation, that is, USA. Now, holding together federations, when a large country chooses to divide its authority between member states and the central government. Example will be India. Now, confederation is a union of sovereign groups or state united for the purpose of common action. In a confederation, membership of the states with the confederation is voluntary and the federal government is accountable to them. In a confederation, the regional level governments are more powerful compared with federal government, with an acknowledged right of secession from the confederation. Example would be former USSR. Unitary system. Now it refers to a political system where most or all of the governing power resides in a centralized government, in contrast to the federal system where it is divided between the center and the states and all levels as well. Now, federalism. Federalism is a political principle of dividing up powers or subjects between center and state. Both center and state governments are autonomous in exercise of their power over their respective states. So, in federalism, the division of power is between two levels of government of equal status. Now, cooperative federalism is a state of relationship between center and state where they both come together and resolve common problems through cooperation. Here, constituent units are interdependent and not independent. Further, though powers are divided amongst constituting units, they cooperate in the exercise of these powers. Competitive federalism refers to the state competing with each other and with center to provide better standards of quality of life, public services, delivery, governance to its citizens, as well as for attracting investments in respective states. Competitive subfederalism refers to the competition between cities within states to provide better standards of quality of life, public services delivery, governance to the citizens, as well as for attracting investments in their respective cities. Coalition. The term coalition is derived from the Latin word coalition, which means to grow together. A coalition government is a form of government in which political parties cooperate to form a government by consensus, especially when no single party gains a clear majority. Unicameralism. A legislature can be divided into multiple chambers called houses. If legislature is consisting of only one house, then it is called the unicameral legislature. Now, bicameralism. If the legislature is consisting of two houses, then it is called the bicameral legislature. Indian Parliament is a bicameral legislature which is divided into Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. In India, after abolition of the Legislative Council on Jammu and Kashmir in 2019, now only six states have bicameral legislature: Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Odisha, Telangana, Bihar, and Uttar Pradesh. Now, diarchy is a system where two independent authorities, that is a system of double government, rule the polity. It was introduced by the Government of India Act 1919 for the provinces of British India. Decentralization. Now, decentralization refers to the transfer of authority, responsibility, and financial resources for governance and administration from higher level to lower tiers of government or organization. It is a complex, multifaceted concept, and decentralization can be devolution or delegation. Now, devolution is a type of decentralization where governments devolve functions, they transfer authority for decision making, finance, and management to lower tier of government. In a devolved system, local governments have clear and legally recognized power, and they exercise authority and perform public functions within a fixed geographical region. This is the most extensive form of decentralization. Now, moving on to delegation, is which is a more extensive form of decentralization. Through delegation, central governments transfer responsibility for decision making and administration of public functions to semi autonomous organizations not wholly controlled by central government, but ultimately accountable to it. Examples would be Medical Council of India, FASI, etc. Usually, these organizations have a great deal of discretion in decision making. Subsidiarity principle. It is a principle which means that nothing should be done by a larger and more complex organization which can be done as well by a smaller and simpler organization. In other words, any activity which can be performed at a local level should be decentralized. Example would be water conservation. Enabling legislation. It is a legislation which authorizes government ministers or bodies to create detailed rules to accomplish general principles set out in the legislation. Whip. The office of whip is based on conventions of parliamentary government. Now, whip is appointed by every political party to serve as an assistant floor leader. He is charged with the responsibility of ensuring the attendance of his party members in large numbers and securing their support in favor or against of a particular issue. He regulates and monitors their behavior in the parliament. The members are supposed to follow the directives given by the whip, otherwise, disciplinary actions can be taken. Now, moving on to natural rights. Natural rights. English philosopher John Locke was one of the first to suggest that all people were born with natural rights. Now, natural rights are those rights which people inherit from nature. They are part of human nature and reason. They are not dependent on laws or customs of any particular culture or government, and so are universal, fundamental, and inalienable. Bill of Rights, as a concept, is a list of most important rights of citizens of any country. In the United States, Bill of Rights are the first 10 amendments to the US Constitution adopted in 1791. They constitute specific guarantee of personal freedom and rights and put clear limitations on government's power. Now, entitlement, it is a notion or belief that one is deserving of some particular reward of benefit or fact of having right to something. These can be granted by law or contract. Now, moving on to feminism. Feminism is an ideology which seeks to achieve equality between men and women in the realms of social, political, and economic rights. Um, that'll be it for this video. We'll be covering the next remaining topics, remaining around 53 topics, keywords in the next video, subsequent videos.